Welcome to my channel. I'm Sacha. I'm a television journalist originally from the UK, and now I'm working on the news in Australia.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. So on this week's video, I'm going to take you through my work week where we cover the devastating floods.
If you haven't already, why not click back and watch my previous video where I showcase the beginning of the week covering these floods.
So come and find out a little bit more about how we got some of our stories, the scoops that we got, following the Prime Minister around, and some other things that happened during this hopefully one-off event. Come on.
Good morning. It is day 3 for me. What day are you on? Day 6?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Day 6 of flood watch. The Australian Defence Force are coming to the area today. No one is confirming exactly when that's happening. Look who we have in front of us. We have a number of fire trucks right here. They're also working with fire and rescue, so we're trying to see if we can get anything. We're going to pull up and get shot. After putting on some sun cream, yes, sun cream after a flood, I know it's ridiculous, we went in and got some shots of these businesses in this arcade. They were entirely ruined by the floods, and at this stage everything had already been ripped out. We had heard through the grapevine that the New South Wales Premier was going to turn up, something not to be missed. Just grabbed a coffee and a hot chocolate for myself, very good hot chocolate. I wish I could get drinks for all of these volunteers, but I just wouldn't be able to afford it. But yeah, we're still waiting to see if Gladys is going to turn up. People are adamant that she is. Her staff are adamant that she isn't, but we often get lied to in situations like this when they don't want the media there, so it's just who do you listen to? And we're missing other interviews by sticking around here, which is annoying, but if we miss this and it does happen here, then it's a huge thing to miss. So we will see. It is 1:25. Andy, how are you doing?
Feeling pretty fatigued, but we're getting some good vision.
Yeah. And what do you make of what's been going on today?
Yeah, just people trying to clean up their shops. Got some military blokes in town helping, and also the New South Wales Fire and Rescue blokes from all over the place, which is really good to see.
Yeah. I think definitely when you cover stuff like this, you see like the community feel, and everyone feels proud to be helping, which is really good. One woman that I spoke to, she owned a shop in that area the last time it flooded in 1978, and she said there was none of this support. People, weren't necessarily coming out to the same extent they are today, so she was quite impressed to see that. Apparently it flooded on exactly the same day in 1978.
Great, isn't it?
So where I'm stood right now was all underwater. The water's now back in the river for the first time since the flood. Say hello to the pelicans. Anyway, yeah, the water's back in the river, but you can see like all this pole here was bent over by the force of the water. There's grass attached to all these benches, like everything, all the water, the floor here is so dusty, really slippy, so yeah, it's interesting to see the aftermath of it. I mean, look at this here. We're just rushing to get back to where we were. We hung around there for 2 hours probably. We had to go out to do an interview at the council, which is normally a 5-minute drive, not even. Oh, children crossing the road. Come on, and they're going so slowly. Anyway, because of all the road closures due to the flooding, it's taken us 20 minutes each way, which is delaying us on top of obvious delays that we've had already. So we've just heard the Premier is around. We are rushing to get there, and I'm hoping that we can get the interview. Even though we've had confirmation from other people saying she's not going to be here, still hoping to get her. We're on the way. We've got this, Andy. We did not have this. So the Premier did not end up turning up. There was a lot happening in Parliament today, so she was stuck there. We did manage to get some interviews with some commissioners and heads of the fire and rescue and the police, which was really, really good to hang around for and to get that. Work that would take days is taking hours, thanks to the arrival of the cavalry. 20 soldiers from as far as Coffs Harbour and Sydney are the latest crew to wade in with the recovery efforts. So today has just been so hectic. I should have finished a while ago, but I'm just hanging around trying to get a few other bits done. And we're also going to be in for an early shoot tomorrow. There's an exclusive story that we should have. I'm really enjoying covering the floods, I have to say. This is the kind of stuff that I actually love doing because it feels important important and you feel like you're actually making a difference. So yeah, that's day 3 for me, a flood watch complete. Hello, it is Friday, which is day 4 of flood reporting for me. And what day are you on, 10?
I think it's 7.
Okay, yeah. And guess who we just got a shot of, / Andy got a shot of? The Prime Minister. Very exciting. We had to go to Port Macquarie, which is where the Prime Minister was, which is an hour away from where we are. We found out an hour before we had to be there that we were supposed to go. The call was made at the last minute, so we had a bit of a rushed journey there, didn't we?
We did.
Bit of pressure, Andy. Andy ended up sending it across to the, was it the National News?
Channel 9, yeah. National News.
So it would have gone across to the National News for their 11 o'clock and 11:30 bulletin. So
live from my back.
live, yeah, exactly. And it was really interesting seeing his security there and just watching them kind of like scout the place. All the media that are there, all the people that are behind the media, all the people that are behind the Prime Minister, like all of his media people, press people, all that sort of stuff. I love stuff like that. I think it's so interesting. What do you think?
Oh, it is. It's fascinating to see how they, and you know, their BMWs that they drive around in, like they're sort of bulletproof cars apparently. So.
Gosh, yeah. Security are very like, we are concentrating on him not dying. I'm very serious.
Well, it's the first time I linked out live on the fly as I was shooting. It was linking out straight, you know, like a live link straight to Channel 9. So that was something different too.
That's cool, yeah, really cool.
First time I tried it and it worked quite well. It was aware apparently.
Yeah,
So.
yeah, we did a good job making it in the time that we made it in, because we literally had just an hour to get there, which is how long it takes, and there's traffic and everything. So did a really good job actually. Well done.
There was no speeding involved, was there?
None.
None.
I was going to say something else as well. Oh yeah, and I was speaking to his media person and I said, do you ever get used to this with all the people? And she goes, not really, because for the last year or so with COVID, we haven't been going to shoots like this. And I was like, oh, I bet you're thinking, stop breathing on us. And we had a bit of a laugh, so we might even see him later. He's going to be in our patch later on, so we'll see. I'll just stop him for some very vital sustenance. We drove back down the coast and this time went to Wingham. This was an area within our patch that we hadn't been back to since the flooding. Here's a snippet of my report.
In some cases, residents have nothing left. Troy's house flooded while he helped to rescue others in his role as an on-call firefighter.
Had a phone call from our daughter Grace, and she was very distraught, and the message was that there's water coming through your house, Troy.
At times like this, there are so many incredible stories to share. We followed Fire and Rescue around when we were in Wingham, and they put us in touch with some people who were happy to be on camera and who had incredible stories, like Troy, whose house flooded while he was out rescuing others. Just about to record a piece to camera for today, and look, we've just got like so much devastation on the flood on the bridge just over there. It just shows how high the water went and how powerful the water was when it was here.
Right, I remember, hold it at the end, go.
Yep. While in Taree, Martin Bridge will be closed for at least another week as ongoing safety inspections have revealed further damage. Emergency vehicles will be granted access in priority situations, but other vehicles will have to continue using the Cundletown route, which is quickly causing travel chaos. Sacha Shipway, NBN News.
Done.
Okay, we've got this park up here. Looks like they're having to rip it out entirely. My gosh. Yeah, today we're at flood victims' houses and it's just devastating. It is devastating to see what they have lost, which is everything, because everything that the water has touched is now contaminated. So, my goodness. And even though the water is back in the river, which is obviously great, and the sun is shining, which is helpful to dry things out, it's still a bit, not a mess, you know, not a mess, but it's still crazy. Good morning. It is Saturday. We're out with the fire crew today, the EPA and a hazmat crew, so it's going to be a good day.
Yeah, it's already got a few shots this morning, knocked off a stand-up.
The streets lined with belongings, much of it a tragic reminder of just how high the water rose. all of this is contaminated and deemed unsalvageable.
But it's always hard when you'll see the devastation and the people's stuff all over the front lawn.
Yeah, it's just shocking over and over. It's like, we've been seeing this all week, obviously. Like, you were here when it, not necessarily in Wingham, but you were in the area when it flooded. But still, you come to houses and they point to like halfway up a window and say this is where the water came to, and it's still like, you can't almost believe it because it came so high. And everything that they have is completely contaminated. They have to throw it all away. It just makes you think about everything that you own is just so like disposable, do you know what I mean? It can be lost in an instant.
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to follow the crew around today and see what they do really, and there's mould already growing on stuff, which is just crazy, so it should be an interesting day. It should make a good report as well.
Yeah.
12:30 on Saturday. We're on the way back. We've just finished filming. We've done a lot this morning, haven't we?
Oh, we have. It's been pretty full on.
Yeah. I think the toughest, there were two parts of that were really, really hard. We went to one house where there are these two like elderly sisters and their mom died in February, and it was her house that was flooded, and they were just so emotional going through everything, and you could see the fire and rescue crew, John, who's been showing us around, like even he was tearing up. It's just so sad. Everyone's just so emotional.
Yeah.
That was hard. I had to put my sunglasses on. Same for you, Andy.
Yeah.
Got a bit teary-eyed myself there. It is definitely really sad. And they were just so grateful for the help, and they saw the army come in, and they were so happy.
Thank you guys, thank you.
Then we just popped to another house with John, which you could tell the entire house was completely underwater.
Oh no.
Like the whole thing. And you just go through, and there was washing on the line, and all the mud that was within the water that's caught on everything.
It's like the washing was like skipped up, wasn't it?
Yeah. And then the glasses were on the table, the door hadn't even been opened. Like, you know, we were looking through, and it was almost like a museum, just with everything kind of frozen in time and retained with all that mud on it. So it's a bit, a bit creepy, to be honest. And then he was worried that there could possibly be someone dead inside. Like, that's one of their greatest fears. So they'll be calling the police and seeing what they can do with that. I mean, you definitely see the whole human aspect of it and the emotional side of it, and people have lost so much. And then there are other people, like that young couple, who are so happy and just like, it could be worse, you know.
Nicole and Kane's 4-month-old baby woke them up at midnight on Friday, and they found water at their doorstep.
By the time Nicole had fed him and packed some clothes and got out of the street, it'd been like half an hour maybe.
Half an hour. Yeah,
I come back to try and stack some stuff up a bit higher, and it was already starting to come up through the floorboards.
Anyway, we'll go back to the office now, edit it, and hopefully have a bit of a weekend, and we'll try and revisit some of these people in a couple of months and see how they're getting on months later. Once we got back to the office, I started editing the interviews and writing the report for that day. When I was there, John the fireman gave me a phone call and said that thank goodness the police had located the woman and she was alive and well. Such a relief, honestly. So Andy went back out while I carried on writing, and he filmed these absolutely stunning shots which made the top of the story.
Something so small can mean so much. This woman was today reunited with sentimental jewellery.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you. Awesome.
Thank you.
Christine's house in Wingham was completely submerged.
I'm just so grateful that I've got my jewellery and things. I've lost a lot of other things, but I couldn't buy other things. It's frightening to think I was sitting in there watching TV and knitting, and it's all gone now.
The biggest shock to me was absolutely that day when Andy was able to get into that house and the water obviously lifted all the furniture up. and then it all just landed like skew-if from the water then receding and beds kind of at 45-degree angles and things like that. It's just so mind-blowing to think of how high up the water came. Like, you know, it was 2-3 of me high. So it's still crazy now. I'm just really, really happy that obviously there was no loss of life in the area that I'm working in. And I really just feel for everyone. Like, I'm still cleaning up my place following the flood, which is a pain in the butt, but it is what it is. And I know that it's nowhere near as bad as it could have been, and nowhere near as bad as it was for a lot of other people who have quite literally lost everything. So there you go. It was really interesting personally to see this, really troubling in a lot of ways, and definitely the stories that you want to be covering, because they're stories that matter. People who live locally want to know about this. The other thing that I have to say as well is how much I respect and admire the emergency services, and particularly the fire and rescue crew who I was working so closely with throughout this week. It was just great to see how brilliant they are at their jobs. There was a lot of stuff that I wasn't able to capture on camera in terms of how they were dealing with people who were traumatized and who didn't want any help, and then, you know, they'd turn up and actually have loads of fire and rescue crew or soldiers or anyone there to help them, and people were just like breaking down to actually have help and support, and you could just see it meant the world. And it's amazing to see how all of the services really came together, and I just was so impressed with how organised it was and how personable they were and just how excellent they were at their jobs, you know. They made a huge difference to people here, more so than I could probably even explain. Anyway, thanks so much for watching, guys. I really hope that you did enjoy this video, and please do make sure you subscribe, like, comment, all of that sort of stuff. It really helps. And I just want to give a huge shout out to everyone who has recently subscribed. I have lots of big plans for this channel, and you're really helping me kind of follow through with that, so thank you. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you next video.